I'm Moody,
And this is Jack, and we are.
the Super Debate Bros. Subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Twitch. We're the Super Debate Bros.
Yeah, we'll be posting every week. Make sure you follow us along this ride. We'll be talking about anime, sports content. We'll be debating each other. So make sure you're here with us and support us along this journey.
Hey guys, today we're doing reviewing Week 4 for the NFL, and we're going to preview Week 5. And we're going to start right off with Cowboys versus Giants. Cowboys winning 20-15. Jack, give me your initial reactions to this game.
Yeah, my initial reaction was kind of a boring game for Thursday night, but at the same time, division rivals, so it's always, they play each other a little bit tougher. Giants, they looked not terrible, but it looks like Daniel Jones has to feed Malik Neighbors for them to have any chance. He was the only reason that they were kind of in this game. He had, I think, 11 catches. He had even more targets. And, Malik Neighbors, he looks amazing. I definitely thought Marvin Harrison was the best receiver coming out of this class, and he still might be. But an early lead, if we're looking at just positional battles, Jaden Daniels looks like the best quarterback in the draft class, and Malik Neighbors looks like the best wide receiver in this draft class. He's been phenomenal from, I think, week 2 on. Week 1, finding your footing is your first game. Sometimes get lost in the moment. But from week 2 till now, he has looked amazing. He did get knocked out with a concussion. Hopefully he's back by this week because he's just so fun to watch. Seeing these rookies come in and be great. It used to always be rookies took a long time to develop. But Malik Neighbors, he looks like he has. And as a Bears fan, it sucks because Rome Odunze, while I do like him, I think his future's bright. He had that huge game last week. It looks like he's definitely the definitive third best running back or wide receiver at the moment. So, as a Bears fan, kind of sucks, but it's really cool to see these rookies come out and play well. On the Cowboys side, it was a fine game, nothing spectacular. Cowboys are supposed to beat the Giants right now. They're the better team. They're the favorite coming into this. They got the better offense. They got the better quarterback. They got the better wide receiver, CeeDee Lamb over Neighbors. They got the better defense. So the Cowboys are supposed to win this. You would have liked to see a prettier win, a little bit more of a dominant win, especially considering the last 2 weeks the Cowboys, didn't look very impressive. And, now they don't have Micah Parsons. They don't have Tank Lawrence. Their 2 best edge rushers, probably their 2 best defenders. Maybe Trevon Diggs is number 2, but they're down 2 of their 3 best defenders. So the Cowboys, they're going to need to really rely on this offense going forward. And, scoring 20 points against the Giants doesn't give me a lot of hope for them.
No, I mean, Daniel Jones, no touchdowns at all. I mean...
Yeah, just a field goal game for the Giants.
Which is awful for anything, but the Cowboys only win by 5. Mentioned it's a boring game, but just, you expect better from the Cowboys. They had 2 touchdowns with Dak Prescott throwing one to CeeDee Lamb and Rico Dowell. You have to play better than that. This team is supposed to be a championship team, and the only wins are against the Browns and the Giants, and the Giants are struggling, and the Browns are obviously struggling as well. So,
some might say they're 2 of the worst teams in the league. So, for a championship quality roster and contender, you got to beat more than the duds. You got to start beating some quality teams and looking quality against them.
Yeah, I mean, the Giants didn't have a good game at all. Sure, they helped us at the ball more, but that's because they played longer, because I'm assuming with the field goals. But just the Cowboys were off of the penalties. They lost 89 yards. I mean, they got punished for 89 yards at least. 11 penalties compared to 4. Just their third down efficiency is awful. They're 3 out of 10. They're just playing bad. I don't get it, to be honest with you. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was say, yeah, you're right. I mean, I don't get it either. I know the Cowboys said they're all in, and they didn't really make any moves to prove that they're all in. But you would still be hoping for a better result than this, and it's quite embarrassing. Jerry Jones is going to talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk ever. And they're. I don't want to wish on anybody's firing, but I don't see how Mike McCarthy can keep his job if they don't turn this around. They've been great regular season teams, but failed in the playoffs. Now they look like they're going to fail in the regular season. So if I'm a Cowboys fan and we don't turn this around soon, I'm calling for Mike McCarthy's head. And another subject, the Cowboys should really look into trading for Devontae Adams. I don't know if you've thought of any teams that you would want him to go to since he's been available.
Green
But I
Bay.
think, yeah, I doubt it. but no, I think the Cowboys, like I said, they're down two of their three best defenders. They have a mediocre run game. They're going to have to rely on their pass game. So you might as well add Devontae Adams and really fortify that strength. So that way Dak has Devontae Adams and CeeDee Lamb to throw to, and then you have Brandon Cooks, Jalen Tolbert as your third and fourth option, as well as a solid tight end in Jake Ferguson. So I think the Cowboys should really prove that they're all in and go for Devontae Adams. I don't know if it'll put him over the top, but I think it would really, show the fans that we're all in, as well as, give them the best chance that they have right now with their defense not looking as impressive as previous years. They're going to have a hard time staying in these games without Dak being, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And what way to kind of guarantee that by giving him two top 10 receivers?
Right. I agree with that, and that means their next goal. Devontae Adams would be a perfect fit in Dallas. Let's head to Bengals versus Panthers. How did you feel about this game? High scoring game for the Bengals.
Yeah, it's a high scoring game, and the Bengals get their first win of the season, which is needed. I don't remember the exact number of teams, but when I was watching, I think it's like 6 or 7 teams in the modern era have only made the playoffs after starting 1-3. So it's not looking great for the Bengals. It's going to be a really hard uphill battle. Like I said last week, luckily for them, the teams at the top of the division, the Ravens kind of started off slow. The Browns, nobody really, thinks they're going to be much anymore. And the Steelers, while I think they're a well-coached team and they have a great defense, I don't think they're going to be the team to win the division. So really, the Bengals have a chance, but it's not great, and they needed to beat the Panthers. I know the game shows it was a 10-point game, but it really never felt too close. The Bengals were kind of always leading. The Panthers were kind of trying to claw their way back into the game the whole time. Andy Dalton continues to show that, while the Panthers aren't a great team, they're a much better team with him under the helm than they were with Bryce Young. I don't know what the Panthers do with him at this point. It looks like he's just lost. He doesn't have a clear direction anymore, and you hate to see that for your first overall pick of a year ago. So a future franchise quarterback that the Panthers would have been hoping for. It seems like they're cursed. They have Baker Mayfield come in, he can't do the job. He leaves, and now he's taking the Buccaneers to the playoffs. He looks like a potential top 10 quarterback. Sam Darnold comes through after. He can't do much with them. He leaves, and now he has the Vikings 4-0, looking like a serious contender in the NFC. And then Bryce Young comes in, and he just he's a hyped prospect out of Alabama. There's a reason he went number one. It seems like the Texans probably would have taken him number one over Stroud, but they didn't. But the Panthers went with Young, and they made their bed, and this is what it looks like, and it's disappointing. I kind of wish that they just trade him at this point. Let him learn under an established vet, a better coach, and see if he can save his career somewhere else. But the Panthers at this point, they really need to just focus on getting as high a pick as they can, and hopefully pick the right quarterback this time. Hopefully Dave Canales, showing with Andy Dalton that they at least have some kind of heartbeat.
Right.
That maybe with a new quarterback, whether it's Shadur, Quinn Ewers, Carson Beck, the kid from Miami, if it's one of those guys, maybe then they can show something. But Bryce Young, unfortunately, I think it's over for him in Carolina.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. I mean, once you're proven that you're not really needed and other quarterbacks doing better than you, you're kind of just out of there. Like you said, Dolphins will be a great fit for him. Well, all Tua's out, and even Tua's might not ever come back fully the same player. Yeah, they look like a different team. I mean, and even if you're a big fantasy fan, you noticed it because all of a sudden everyone wants the Panthers receivers. Andy Dalton's a pickup, and it's just in any league if and any casual fan will notice that. Why the Panthers? Why also Dante Johnson, who's a free agent, also is needed, or you could pick him up as a backup to your team? It's because the Panthers' offense is playing better, which AKA means Bryce Young is out of there. So poor Bryce Young. I mean, good for the Panthers to actually have some offense, not looking like complete trash, like compared to the past few weeks. Um, Bengals are 1-3. They could probably still make the playoffs. It's gonna be hard for them. Like it's only one team has really ever done it. So we'll see how they go. I mean, they played a good game this week. So, but again, it is the Panthers, so I'm not too surprised, unfortunately, for the Panthers.
Yeah, unfortunately, they just don't have it. And two, like you said, they're at this point the offense looks better, and also Canales, he wasn't there when they drafted Bryce Young, so he has no loyalty to Bryce Young.
Right.
He didn't make that pick, so honestly, it's like when Cliff Kingsbury took over the Cardinals. You know, they just drafted Josh Rosen, but they get the number one pick. Doesn't matter. Cliff Kingsbury didn't draft Josh Rosen. He picks Kyler Murray, and look at it now. You know, Kyler Murray's, while he's not always thriving, they've made the playoffs. He's looked good in spurts. So I think the Panthers are going to go a similar route, and hopefully it works similar, if not better, than what the Cardinals did.
All right. Let's talk about the Saints versus Falcons. Interesting game because Saints started off, I believe, 2-0. Hot offensive team. You know, we were like, wow, can they keep this up? And it seems like they really can't. They lost the last two games. They lose to the Falcons by 2, which is a very close game and not a bad game by any means. But it seems like they finally hit reality. Derek Carr, no touchdowns, 1 interception. Kamara with 1 touchdown, and Taysom Hill, with 2 touchdowns. So they're back to reality, and Kirk Cousins on the other side didn't play much better. So with the same stats basically. What do you do? Yeah, you know what? Derek Carr has 239 yards and 1 interception. 238 yards from Kirk Cousins. Slightly more efficient with Kirk. Actually, no, I don't even know who's more efficient. Anywho, let us same quarterback play, and what do you have to say about that?
The difference in this game was the defense.
Right.
Obviously, the Falcons, their defense scored twice for them, so that, I mean, obviously that's going to help a lot, especially when Kirk, he wasn't playing his best today. And who knows what his best is coming off this Achilles. He's been so up and down, so there's no guarantee of what, good Kirk Cousins is anymore. But no, I mean, on the Saints side, I think they kind of hit reality, like you said. Like I said, I think they're a fine football team, 8-9, ish. They're not the worst team, but they're not the best team. They're literally stuck smack dab in the middle of mediocrity, which is probably the worst place to be for any team. Obviously you want to be good, but if you're not going to be good and make the playoffs, I'd always rather just be terrible. While it sucks to watch for a season, at least you have the hope of a high draft pick who could maybe come in and turn something around. But when you're in the middle, well, there's nothing you can really do. You can keep adding quality players, but you're not adding game changers. And Derek Carr, he started off great. Now he looks like Derek Carr, a below average quarterback who, is smart in situations, but doesn't really have the arm talent that some of these better up and coming quarterbacks have, like Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Jordan Love, Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams. These guys, who have, either pinpoint accuracy, they're really fast. They got these big arms. So it's just the Saints. Unfortunately, they're kind of stuck in the middle, and they're probably like I projected 7-10, 9-8. That's probably where they're going to end up, and maybe an okay football team the rest of the year. Derek Carr will have his moments where he looks good, and then he'll have his moments where he looks terrible, and he's going to end up having a mediocre season. But the Falcons, I really like what Raheem Morris is doing here. They're playing smart. I think they learned from last week with the Chiefs. Settle for the field goals. If you can get points, don't leave them on the board. So I think they're doing a good job, and I think the Falcons, they're going to turn around. They have a really strong run game with Bijan and Tyler Algier. Drake London, he's a solid young receiver. Darnell Mooney, former Bear, looks really good with the Falcons. Seems like Kirk Cousins kind of put a lot of trust into him. And Kirk, it's coming back from an Achilles at age, what is he, like 36, 37? It's a long recovery, so I think there's going to be some ups and downs in the early part of the season. So if they can navigate these early waters, finish about 500 and halfway through the season, maybe a game or two above. I think they'll look really strong to close the season. So there's some. I'm definitely more optimistic on the Falcons than I am on the Saints.
No, yeah, I mean the Falcons has been playing decently, the past couple of weeks. There's 2-2, which you're gonna say, are they really playing decently? Every game, they're pretty much in it.
Yeah, they took the Chiefs down to the wire. I mean,
Yeah,
you say what you want about how the Chiefs have looked, but they're 4-0. They're the defending back-to-back champions. That's impressive in itself.
yeah. I mean they lost. They beat the Eagles by. Excuse me, they beat the Eagles by 1. They lost to the Steelers by 8. And I believe the Steelers, just Steelers been playing amazing. So it's just like, can you really say much about that? Like negative about it? Even though the Steelers lost the first game, still they're 3-1. So they 4-0 Chiefs, 3-1 Steelers. The Eagles are always still gonna be really good, no matter what their record is. So good for the Falcons. I mean, you can't, as a fan, you really can't complain about them. I know Atlanta's a big football city, not a big basketball city, but a big football city. So they must be loving it down there.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's I was really excited for the Saints. I'm not a huge Saints fan, but I really like Alvin Kamara, and I liked Clint Kubiak. I wanted him to be the Bears OC, so I was jealous how strong they started, but now it's they kind of hit that wall, and Derek Carr realized he's Derek Carr.
Yep, reality's been hit. And speaking of reality, the Jaguars are 0-4, losing to the Texans 24-20. Yeah, I mean, C.J. Stroud looking great. 27 out of 40 with 345 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, the man's killing it out there, killing it.
Yeah, no, C.J. Stroud. I mean, of the young quarterbacks, because I don't consider Lamar, Josh Allen, Mahomes. They're not young anymore.
Right.
They're veterans at this point. So of the young quarterbacks, C.J. Stroud looks like he's going to be leading that class going forward. He's you know he's just so impressive, and they're down. They're down. What is it? They're down 3 with 5 minutes left when they get the ball, 4 minutes left when they get the ball, and you just go, yeah, they're gonna win. You just don't doubt C.J. Stroud. Like for a young quarterback, a lot of people would have questions about it. It's like, no, not him. He's got it. He's gonna come back. He looks so calm under center. He looks poised. He looks like a franchise quarterback, and he makes decisions like one. Sure, he had a rough game last week. Every quarterback has rough games, but he bounces back with this really strong performance. Nico Collins, I personally thought that he was, okay. I didn't think he was, going to be this good, and he looks amazing. He's coming out week after week. He's getting tons of targets. He's racking up those yards, scoring. He looks fantastic. So the Texans, after a rough week, they bounce back, show, hey, it was a rough week, but shit happens. We're gonna dust it off. We're gonna move forward, and they beat a division rival. Another tough. Well, like I said earlier, division games are always a bit tougher, even if the team's not as good as you. And C.J. Stroud just looks amazing. While Trevor Lawrence, on the other hand, the fall off is real. It's sad, honestly. Doug Peterson is throwing people under the bus. Trevor Lawrence, while he didn't throw an interception this game, he still was almost completing just above 50% of his passes. He's not looking like the quarterback that you thought he would. He's not looking like the player who you gave $55 million a year to. He's not looking like the future. He's looking like pretty below average. He's looking closer to Derek Carr than he's looking to Patrick Mahomes, and he's getting paid Patrick Mahomes money. So that's never a good sign. I mean, you're liking that. Brian Thomas, their rookie, he's starting to come out a little bit more. He's got this big play ability, but he's also now starting to get a little bit more receptions. He's getting some more targets. He's looking solid. The run game was actually pretty good. Tank Bigsby and Etienne, they combined for like 130 yards rushing. So the Jaguars, they keep losing these close games. I know they got blown out by the Bills, but other than that, their other 3 games, close games, but they're just losing. And this is their 10th straight loss. And it's just, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's Doug Peterson. I don't know if it's Trevor Lawrence. I don't know if it's both of them, but I don't think they can't get rid of Trevor Lawrence now. They just paid him this offseason. It's too big of a cap hit. It would really ruin the franchise. I think they're going to get rid of Doug Peterson, and I don't know if he's going to make it past this season.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, just when you're 0-4, what much can you say for your team? And if you can't control
Yeah,
your locker room, I mean, it's over. I'd be surprised if Jaguars win more than 5 games. I don't know what's the lowest record, but like, are they going to really win much games? I doubt it. I mean, if your coaches are already throwing people under the bus after 4 weeks, you're kind of screwed. So I have not
yeah,
looked
it's
bad
it's
for
it's
them.
embarrassing for a coach to be, you know, trying to save his job 4 weeks in by throwing people under the bus. It's not a good look. A team is a team, and you shouldn't be throwing people under the bus this soon.
Yeah, I know. I agree. Let's head to the next game. Let's talk about the Broncos versus Jets. A very low scoring game. Wow, my man Aaron Rodgers with 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. The least Aaron Rodgers kind of game. He had 225 yards, but yeah, I had him in fantasy. Wasn't playing well for me. But man, just a low scoring game, and just Bo Nix 60 yards passing with 1 touchdown. Javonte Williams had more yards rushing. Jaylee
Yeah,
McLaughlin almost was 14 yards short of tying him in rushes. Very bad, very bad game to watch. I can't imagine if you paid money tickets to watch this game, because man, this has been awful to watch.
yeah. No, I obviously didn't watch this game live, but when I'm watching the Bears game, going and flipping between channels, and I see the stat line for this. At one point, it was like halftime, and Bo Nix had thrown for negative 12 yards. It's like I don't understand how the Jets let the Broncos, back into this game and somehow win it. Bo Nix, you complete 12 passes for 60 yards. That's what is that? 4 yards a pass. That's insane. That was good enough to win a game. Yeah, sure. The rushing game was solid for the Broncos. They had about 120 yards rushing. So, you know, it is what it is. That you let off some rushing yards, but when Aaron Rodgers throws for 225, can't finish a drive. They're not getting the run game started. You would think that Brees Hall would have more touches and would have more yards, but he ends up with 4 yards rushing, for 4 rushing yards on only 10 attempts. Like in a game that close, and you see Aaron Rodgers isn't getting the job done. It's a relatively inefficient game for him. They should have handed the ball to their young running back and let him try to take over the game. But instead, seems like they were more content on splitting the touches between him and Braylon Allen, who, albeit is he's a fine rookie, but Brees Young is the future, or Brees Hall is the future. So you should be giving him the touches and let him try to get them back into the game when Aaron Rodgers is struggling.
Right. I mean, just I didn't watch this game live either, but man, it was just an awful game, and I really have not much to add for that. Do you really? Because this was an ugly game to
No,
watch.
this was an ugly game, and it's shocking that, except just shocking that the Jets let them win this when they're a favorite to win their division. But it is what it is. We can move on from this game
Yeah,
because really there's not much to talk about.
yeah. I mean, Jets going 2-2 is shocking, but let's head to my Green Bay Packers versus Vikings, and man, this was an ugly game for us to watch in the first half as Packers fans. With only I'm trying to remember exactly. Yeah, it was 28-7 in a halftime. Jordan Love did not look ready at all. First half was not great. And then they did come back in the fourth quarter, but I was surprised they were able to, and not in no disrespectful way, but just Jordan Love did not look ready, and as divisional rivals, as you mentioned before, they need to step it up. If Jordan Love wasn't ready to play, I know he ended up having a good game with 4 touchdowns. Malik Willis has been playing amazing since. You could put him up there and just do it. However, I am fine with him going 2-2. I know Jordan Love is 0-2 technically this season, but it's all good. One thing I'll say is I'm glad they were able to show fight. Yes, they're 2-2 and they lost to a division rival, which is very important. You shouldn't lose these games. I'm glad they were able to make a comeback and they show some power. But next time, they got to step it up. When they play against the Lions and the Bears specifically, with again they're gonna play the Vikings as well one more time. you can't look like this. And but yeah, no, Jordan Love didn't look ready at first. Took him a while to get ready. Then eventually, stepped up in the fourth quarter with 3 more touchdowns. So good for him, but they need to be be smarter about this instead of forcing someone to come back when they're not ready, because they lost an important game, and this might ruin their playoff chances in the future. We don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how much more I have to add. You said a lot, and you made a lot of good points. The one thing I will say, as a Bears fan and a avid Packers hater, I love being able to say that Jordan Love is 0-2 because he just got paid a ton of money. But
Right.
like you said, first half was rough. Could just be, he was out a couple games, not in rhythm. Second half, Matt LaFleur obviously said something to him, schemed something for him, and he looked like a different player in the second half. So, you know, the hope as a Packers fan would be, it was just a rough first half coming back from injury, getting over the little rustiness and, maybe some fears or some doubts since, a knee injury is pretty serious for a quarterback. You don't want to lose your mobility. You don't want to re-injure. So maybe he was playing with a little bit of caution, or, too much caution isn't a good thing in the NFL.
Right.
So maybe that's all it was. And second half, he came out. He was balling. He was throwing the ball. He looked like I said, totally different guy. But they lost at the end of the day, and that's all I care about is the Packers losing. So I was happy to see that result. But the Vikings look really good. Sam Darnold continues to be very impressive. He's he's the Baker Mayfield of this season. He's turning his narrative around. He's showing that maybe he can be, maybe not a top 10 quarterback, but a top 15 quarterback. A guy who can, if you have the right pieces around him, if you have a Justin Jefferson, you have a good coach, you have, some pieces on the defense, that he can maybe be someone in this league, and he can, lead teams to playoffs and who knows where else. So it's really impressive for Sam Darnold, someone who I thought was going to be not out of the league, but, relegated to a backup for the rest of his career. So it's impressive for him. And the Vikings, Kevin O'Connell, he's coach of the year right now in my mind. You lose J.J. McCarthy early on. Nobody expects them to be 4-0 at this point, and they have some impressive wins. The Packers, who, a lot of people like coming into the season. The Texans, they have some good wins, so you got to be impressed with the Vikings, and we'll see if they can continue it. At some point, I need them to lose because I got the Bears winning the division, so I need them to lose at some point. But right now, they're looking good, and I don't see it slowing down at this point. I think they're going to be a team to be feared the rest of the year.
Yeah. Good Vikings are 4-0. I mean, say what you want. They are 4-0, so you really can't take away from them. And I didn't really add much before speaking about this because I was ranting about the Packers a little bit. Aaron Jones looks great for the Vikings. Sam Darnold, amazing, obviously. They're backing up everything they're doing, and it's just, can they keep this up? I don't know, but being 4-0 pretty much basically says you make the playoffs, essentially. Almost. I know it's not a for sure thing, but they just
anything can happen. But yeah, this is a good way to really up your chances. Starting 4-0, it's hard to miss the playoffs after starting 4-0.
Correct. And last thing I got to add to this, being on 4, only thing is you let the Packers come back in this game, and if there's signs of weakness, maybe yes. Obviously, not going to go undefeated, but hopefully for Green Bay, they see through the Vikings' weaknesses, and next time they play each other, there's a win. If we have nothing else to add, let's head to Steelers versus Colts. A very close game. Steelers losing 24-27. Their first loss of the season. Colts winning again, surprisingly. As we know, Anthony Richards went down with Joe Flacco getting in, hitting 2 touchdowns. It was like the best thing to happen for the Colts. Michael Pittman had his best game of the season so far today or this week, and Jonathan Taylor playing like Jonathan Taylor. It's just, Colts look a lot better with Joe Flacco. Anthony Richardson doesn't look ready. I don't know if he's going to play next week. If he is, they probably shouldn't keep Joe Flacco in if you want any compensatory way to make the playoffs. But yeah, I mean, just Good game for the Colts. Justin Fields, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, very efficient game. He had 1 passing touchdown, 2 rushing touchdowns from Justin Fields. That's what we expected from him as a running quarterback. What do you got to add? I mean, this is Steelers' first loss.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of took the words out of my mouth with the Colts. It's crazy, I was watching some shows going over stats and stuff like that, and apparently Anthony Richardson has the most like deep ball attempts in the league, but he has the least amount of completions in the league, and like the lowest completion percentage in the league. And it's just like, how is that possible? Like, he's crazy. Like, he makes some amazing throws, and he looks like he has all this potential, but then he can't make the easy throws. I hate to say it so early into his career, but he seems injury prone. He's I don't know if it's because he's reckless when he's running. I don't know if it's because of his body type. Even though he seems like tall, muscular build, like he doesn't seem frail. Like Tua, unfortunately, to bring him into this, but he seems injury prone. He's just so reckless with the ball. It's unfortunate because if you're a Colts fan, you're hoping that this guy who was the number 4, I think he was number 4, number 5 overall pick last year. You're hoping that he's going to be your franchise, and he's just so frustrating to watch. And then Joe Flacco comes in, and you see, oh wow, this offense is running smooth now. We're able to connect to Michael Pittman. We're able to hit Josh Downs. We're able to hand the ball off to Jonathan Taylor, and it's a more balanced attack with Joe Flacco out there. And it's like the Browns last year. Deshaun Watson goes down, Joe Flacco comes in, and he leads them to the playoffs. And he looked really impressive in that run. So with the Colts, I wonder if he's going to look just as impressive. So honestly, the Colts' best bet might be Anthony Richardson being hurt and staying down for a little bit and letting Joe Flacco take over the reins.
Yeah, I mean, I doubt they're gonna let Anthony Richardson sit out. Unfortunately, I don't think this is gonna be a situation with the Panthers, with Bryce Young. I know it's a different situation completely. Yeah, so he's gonna keep playing. Only thing is, if he's not ready, don't ruin a quarterback's career by throwing him out there and not being ready.
No, I agree. Joe Flacco looked confident. Don't force him out if he's not ready. He's injury prone, like I said, so why risk it?
Joe Flacco has, lead the Ravens to a Super Bowl, and I know he didn't win. No, he did win. Excuse me.
Yeah, he did.
So yeah, I apologize. I was thinking of a different quarterback. Joe Flacco did win with the Ravens, and he is a championship quarterback. Has the hit record for it. He has the history for it. He was a backup for a while, for a bit, but even then, as a backup, he was super efficient and just like he's showing that he still could play. You would think that maybe someone like the Dolphins would pick him up, last year, but hey, that's on them. Yeah. But I have nothing much to add from this game. I'm surprised the Colts won it, like I said, but that's because Joe Flacco was in. Justin Fields, I'm still very impressed with him. Is he the best throwing quarterback in the league? No. Is he efficient? Yes. No interceptions, 3 touchdowns. No one can really take that away from him. And Steelers look amazing. So being 3-1 is a good thing. Do you have anything else to add before you head to your hometown team?
I'll just say the Steelers, obviously this was their worst defensive performance. And, against Joe Flacco, it's like, if you're a Steelers fan, I'm sure that's a bit annoying. You don't want to lose to Joe Flacco, who's the second oldest quarterback in the league, coming off the bench. But this was probably one of Justin Fields' better games of his career. The first, and especially this season, the first couple of games, he wasn't throwing for a lot of yards, a lot of dinking, not a lot of dunking. But this game, he threw for over 300 yards, had some good rushes. So there's some positives to take away in this loss. You hope Justin Fields can, continue to build as a passer. That was my frustration with him as a Bears fan. Watching him play, he super dynamic. Would make. He was kind of like Anthony Richardson, but not as careless and not as reckless. But he wasn't making the right decisions. He was never consistent, and he would take off even though he didn't have to. He would abandon clean pockets when he didn't have to. He was afraid to. He was afraid to stay in there and just make the poised throw. So I hope this is a change for Justin Fields, and I hope Mike Tomlin, a really great coach. Super. He's underrated, even though everyone considers him a great coach. He's still underrated, and so I hope nothing but the best for Justin Fields. Obviously, I want Caleb to be better. Just personal bias at this point. But Justin Fields, I hope he builds off this and proves that he's a starting quarterback in this league.
Yeah, I agree. Let's head to your hometown heroes, the Bears, the monsters in the Midwest. Uh, you know, you go with this. I'm sure you're not surprised about the outcome, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, I will be honest. I was a little bit surprised with the outcome, just because, like, I know the Rams are down Puka and they're down Cooper Kupp, but last week they, had a really great win over the 49ers. Sean McVay, I think he's a much better coach than Matty Eberflus is. At this stage, right now in their careers, I think Matthew Stafford is a better quarterback than Caleb Williams. Now, do I think Caleb will be a better quarterback in the future? Yes, and I think he you know, showed a lot of good stuff this game. Caleb Williams, was very efficient. He stayed in the pocket. He made quick decisions. Sure, he took a couple sacks, but that's part of the learning process. But instead of forcing the deep balls and trying to extend plays and play hero ball, you look at his first or second read. If it wasn't there, check down. That's why DeAndre Swift had 9 catches, 10 catches, whatever it was, for 70 something yards, because Caleb was smart with the ball this game. He read the defense, and if what the read was, if it wasn't there, he was checking down. He was finding the right man at the right time. And there was also a couple plays where, once again, rookie quarterback, him and his receivers just weren't on the same timing. People are going to say that DJ Moore, he should have ran through that ball, and he would have had that touchdown to end the half. And yeah, it looks like that to me, but at the same time, it's just communication, and it's them not being on the same page. DJ Moore is expecting one thing, Caleb's expecting another thing. Give them a couple more weeks, and I think they're really going to have this ironed out, and this offense is going to look so much better than it does. The second half, they looked really strong. Caleb comes out, he starts completing passes left and right. DeAndre Swift finally looked like the investment that we put into him. He looked like a top tier running back. He was making big plays. He was reading the holes correctly. He was catching balls. Doing a little bit of everything, which is what he was paid to do. So it was a great game as a Bears fan. The defense looked great once again. Matthew Stafford, they forced one interception, should have been 2. They got a lot of sacks. They forced a ton of field goals, which is as a defense, that's one of the best things you can do is bend but don't break. That's how you win a lot of these games in the NFL. Is if they're going to drive on you, don't let them get 6. Don't let them get 7. Force them to settle for 3. Cause some turnovers. I believe they had a strip sack as well. So they're causing turnovers. They're playing well. This defense, it's going to carry them hopefully through this next couple of weeks. Let Caleb and his receivers get on the same pace, get on the same page, and I really do like the future for this Bears team. I people who are talking down on Caleb, saying he's a diva, they're not watching the Bears. He's shown no diva qualities on the Bears. He's been a great leader. Obviously he gets frustrated, but I've said this before. I'm tired of Bears having these stoic quarterbacks who look like they don't give a shit. He cares. He plays great. He's celebrating with the team. He's not doing well. He's frustrated, but he's also gathering the team, and it looks like he's trying to fix it. He doesn't look like Justin Fields. And no offense to him, but if they're winning, he's on the bench. He looks pissed off. If they're losing, they're on the bench. He looks pissed off, and it's like you're the leader. You're the face of this franchise. Show some emotion. Show you care. Show you want to win. Show you hate losing. That's stuff that I want to see from my quarterback. That's what gets me going. That's what makes me believe in him. Is he has all the talents, but he also has the mentality, and I think that's going to take him a long way in this league.
Yeah, Caleb. I have nothing negative to say about Caleb. I like the Packers. I support the Packers. I do want the Bears to be good. Bears and Packers rivalry is good for the NFL, and it's fun to watch. It's fun. I want to see the Bears have a good quarterback. They. How many quarterbacks they went through the last the 20 years, but it's been enough for them.
Yeah, only the Browns have trumped them, and if the Browns are beating you in a category, it's probably not a good category because the Browns have been a terrible, abysmal franchise. So you know, the Bears. Hopefully, this is the guy to turn it around for them.
Hopefully, just excuse me. It's been a good game. It's been good for the Bears. I like what I've seen from Caleb. Um, he's going to be really good. Caleb for starting loves going to be a great matchup in the NFC North. Um, and I'm not surprised they won. The Rams only won last week because they were playing against the 49ers. There's a lot of injuries on this team. They're pretty much. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs this year. And good for the Bears being 2-2. They need this win. Um, you know, but when you have a team like this, you need to make sure you can win any game for game possible. And they've been keeping up.
Yeah,
So
and it's so frustrating because you lose to the Colts too, and it's like could have won that game, could be 3-1 right now, and you know going against and now we have the soft part of our schedule. It's you're gonna get the Panthers, you're gonna get the Jaguars, we're gonna get the Cardinals, and I believe we have one more subpar team, and then after that it's the it's the hard part of our schedule. We get the Packers twice, we get the Vikings twice, we get the Lions twice, and I think we have one other pretty solid team that we have to go against. So the Bears need to take advantage of these next couple of weeks. They need to really iron out their offense, make sure it's clicking. They need to win these games, and there's a real chance that they could make a run in the NFC North,
yeah,
which is looking like the best division in the NFL. It's crazy.
it really is. It really is crazy. Um, Not what I expected at all. Let's head to Eagles versus Buccaneers. Eagles are 2-2. Buccaneers are 3-1. Baker Mayfield is still showing why he is the QB of his of the Buccaneers and why he still belongs in the league after being kicked from the Browns. He has 2 touchdowns, no interception. Excuse me. Just a very efficient quarterback, and they're just playing well. I mean, you're nothing negative you really can say about Baker Mayfield. Jalen Hurts on the other side though. To me, it doesn't look great. He has 2 touchdowns, but it seems like he cannot be as efficient or get off that many yards off. Saquon with 84 yards looks great. No touchdowns though. What do you guys say about these 2 teams?
I think we'll first start with the Buccaneers because they're the more fun team to talk about right now. Baker, he's just baking. He's in the kitchen right now. He's cooking up something. He looks great. He's continuing off this run from last year where he started off slow last season, but towards the halfway season, him and the Buccaneers, they clicked and they just kept going. And now this year he comes in, he's still looking great. 350 yards passing, almost 2 touchdowns. That's an impressive game. He's finding his receivers. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. He's spreading the ball between them. Bucky Irving, surprisingly, he's looking like competition for Rachaad White. You would be thinking that after last year, Rachaad White would have a better grip on his running back position, but it looks like they're going to go for a true committee. And Bucky Irving's deserved it. He's looked really impressive. He's looking like a solid starter in this league. So that's a good problem for the Buccaneers to have is two good running backs. They have 2 great wide receivers. Baker Mayfield looks good. The defense is playing well. They don't have anyone. They really don't have an outstanding defense, but they have good players at key positions. They have Lavonte David. They have Vita Vea. They have Tyrone Shionka. They still have Jamel Dean. So they have playmakers at every position. And Antoine Winfield, I believe he's out right now, but when he comes back, he's one of the better young safeties in this league. So, the Buccaneers, I think they're gonna win the NFC South. And honestly, I could see them making the NFC Championship game. I don't think they're there yet to make the Super Bowl or go that far, but I could see them having a nice little run in the playoffs and meeting someone in the championship game to ultimately lose. But I think that's still a really good look at this team. Nobody was expecting them to be here. Last year they were expected to be one of the worst teams. Outperform that. This year they're expected to be an average team. They're looking like one of the top 3 or 4 teams in the NFC. So good on them. But the Eagles, on the other hand, it's disappointing. They're 2-2, but they have not looked impressive. They really should be 3-1 too, but they blew that game to the Falcons,
Right.
and they're just they look very mid. Jalen Hurts, after that Super Bowl run and he got paid last year, some would say he's hurt, some would say he's struggling. I don't know which one it is, but I know this year once again he looks mid. He he's not hurt anymore as far as nobody's talking about it. There's no reported injuries, there's no rumors, stuff like that. I just don't think he's a top 10 quarterback, and he's been showing that last season and going into this season he looks average, and you hate to say that because he had such potential. He took Patrick Mahomes to the brink in the Super Bowl. He looked every bit as his equal in that game. You expect him to come back the next season, and they just didn't show it. Saquon Barkley looked great. A lot of it was because of a 60-yard run, but still, you get 10 carries only for him. Like, they need to be giving him the ball more. They paid him a lot of money. He's been playing really well. You got to run the ball more. And Jalen Hurts, one of his best assets is his running. They should be doing more read options. Really, like, play more like the Ravens with Derrick Henry right now. You have two great rushing threats. Use them. And AJ Brown's out right now. AJ and Devontae Smith, they're two top receivers. They should really be taking advantage of this run game. And instead, they're still throwing the ball 30 times a game, which doesn't make sense. And I know they drop back more because he gets sacked and he goes on some scrambles. So it's just the game plan doesn't make sense. And I'm not a fan of Nick Sirianni. I think he's obnoxious and he annoys me. But as a coach now, his game planning and decision making is really drawing some question marks on my end. And I don't think he's making it past this season. I don't think he's the coach for this team anymore. I think he's kind of lost the locker room, and he's just not making the right decisions anymore.
Yeah. And I don't know. I'm gonna say this. I don't really know who's the number one receiver on the Cowboy or Eagles, excuse me. But who is it? Do you know?
Well, I mean, with AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, it looks like it's Dallas Goedert or
Yeah.
Johan Dotson. But I mean, you shouldn't be depending on Johan Dotson and Dallas Goedert to be your best receivers at this point. When you have Saquon Barkley and you have Jalen Hurts, run the damn ball.
No, I agree. That's why.
And they have a great offensive line. I know Jason Kelce retired, but they still got they got Lane Johnson, a lot of Dickerson. They have some good offensive line pieces still, so they should really. He should be ashamed of his play calling.
No, I agree. Let's head to 49ers and Patriots. A blowout win for them, for the 49ers. Not surprising. They just, they're struggling a little bit. Brock Purdy still just, being whatever at this point with one touchdown, one interception. 288 yards is nice, but, you would think, he needs to be more efficient. He has all these weapons, and it just seems like he can't really do much with it, even against the Patriots, who I know, have a solid defense, but still, just you would think he'd just play better.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit. I think he played. He wasn't great. Don't get me wrong, but I think he played a solid game. He really spread the ball around. Three catches for Juwan Jenkins, 3 catches for Debo, 2 catches for Brandon Ayuk, 4 catches for Kittle. But the focus for them was just running the ball. And Jordan Mason, looking really great. Obviously, I'm sure the 49ers still miss Christian McCaffrey, but Mason stepped up and he's played big. And obviously against the 49ers, or against the Patriots, you're just looking for a win. And this was a quality win, They just controlled the game from beginning to end. Defense looked good. Offense looked solid. My biggest question is truly what's going on with Brandon Ayuk. I know he missed some of the training camp, with his contract holdout, but he has not looked like Brandon Ayuk of last year. He looks. He just doesn't look like a $30 million wide receiver, which is what he's being paid right now. And because of that, next year they're going to have to pay Brock Purdy because he's playing at least good enough where you're going to have to pay him. You can't let him walk at this point. He's shown just enough in my mind to get paid, and they're going to pay him. So they're going to have to lose Deebo Samuels. They're going to have to cut some players on their defense, and kind of stuck with Brandon Ayuk, and he's not looking great. And it's disappointing for a receiver coming off huge season. A lot of promise. Gets this money, and now it's just, did he get his money and stop working? I don't want to assume that, but he just doesn't look great.
No, he does it, and there's a lot of answers that they're going to have to he's going to have to answer these questions basically eventually. Like if he doesn't, it's bad. And you know, with Brock Purdy, I know you were saying like he had a decent game. You would think he would have a better game at least.
Yeah,
Yeah, that because he's throwing the ball. He's throwing the ball. I mean, he's Deebo Samuel's getting the ball. Dewan Jennings is getting the ball. Just if you're getting the ball out there, you would think that it would be more completion, more touchdowns. But again, they're playing well with the rushes as well. Jordan Mason's, like you said, has been amazing. 123 yards, 24 carries. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the 49ers. I feel like this is not this team this year. Not the team.
no, yeah, they definitely. Last year they looked like a powerhouse. Obviously they made it to the Super Bowl, but even before that, they looked really great coming into the postseason. They don't lose too many pieces, and so you think they come back out and look strong again, and they look very average. And I still am not going to write them off because they have so much talent. They have such a great coach. I'm not going to write them off yet, but it's definitely a little concerning.
Yeah, I agree. Let's head to the Commanders versus Cardinals, a 42-14 win, blowout. Jaden Daniels with 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 1 being a rush touchdown. Brian Robinson, 1 touchdown with 101 yards, 21 carries. And Jeremy McNichols having 2 touchdowns and rushing. They're killing it. I don't have a lot to add for the Cardinals. I'm not too surprised they're struggling. They're 1-3. After this week, but this team looks amazing.
Yeah, the Commanders. I'm shocked at how good they look.
Yeah.
Dan Quinn. He's proven that he's a good head coach. He's getting a second chance. Showing that he I don't know what it is he's got, but he's got it. He's a good coach. He's leading this team. It's a young team. Not a lot of expectations. They come out 3-1. And Jaden Daniels, Cliff Kingsbury, whatever he's doing, he's speaking magic to Jaden Daniels because, I mean, for a rookie to be this efficient, it's unheard of. I mean, he came into the league and everybody was talking about his rushing ability and his deep throw ability. And don't get me wrong, like he's still showing a lot of the rushing ability. The deep throw, it hasn't been there as much. It's been a lot of shorter passes. He's only, averaging 8 yards an attempt, which isn't a terrible amount, but it's not a great amount either. But 82% completion through 4 games, that's unheard of, especially for a rookie. And it's not like he's not throwing the ball. He's throwing the ball, almost 25 times each game. He's just super efficient, and it's really, really impressive. They had 2 games against Tampa Bay and against Cincinnati where every single drive that they had ended up in points. Yeah. He's really impressing me. I didn't think he was going to be this good, especially this early. So you got to give props to him. You got to give props to the coaching staff, and the run game looks really great too. Brian Robinson, he looks amazing. I mean, Jeremy McNichols gets 2 touchdowns, but a lot of that is because they're dominating the game, and they brought in the backups, and he got a score. I know he had 1 big score early in the quarter, but I think that was more a fluke than showing McNichols. But right. Still, I mean, the team looks solid, and it's impressive what they're doing with what they got. But on the other hand, the Cardinals, Kyler Murray, he has an efficient game, but he didn't do much. It was a lot of dinking, no dunking, and the Commanders. They're not a great defense. I mean, they've won these games, but they've won these games because the offense has been so good. The defense, right. It's below average. And Kyler Murray, I don't understand him. I know Black Ops 6 is coming out soon, so he's got to get ready for that. But 142 yards against one of the worst defenses in the league, it's just not going to cut it. And it's not like he doesn't have weapons. James Conner has been really good. Marvin Harrison has shown he's good. They still got Michael Wilson, Dorsch. They're solid receivers. He's gonna have Trey McBride back next week. It's just he's so up and down, and it's confusing because he should be running the ball more. Like why does he have one rush this game? His best asset is his dual threat ability, and he's not showing it off. He's not using it. And this offense, while nobody thought the Cardinals would be good, it was because their defense. It wasn't because of their offense. It looks like they quit this game, and it's not a good look for Kyler Murray nor the Cardinals.
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. Let's head to your team, the Chiefs versus Chargers. Excuse me, 17-10. Mahomes having a basic game. Like we know, Mahomes doesn't really try, or I feel like he doesn't really try. Kareem Hunt with 69 yards. Carson Steele, a little bit of trash. Go ahead.
Yeah, true. I was gonna say, Mahomes, he started off again rough, but after Rashee Rice got hurt, it looked like he kind of realized the gravity of the situation, and he picked it up. He started finding Travis Kelce. He hit that deep bomb to Xavier Worthy.
Yep.
It looked like he came alive after that. So it's unfortunate for Rashee Rice. I don't feel too much guilt for him because of all his offseason shenanigans. High speed crash, assaulted somebody in a bar. So
yeah.
I'm not gonna shed any tears over him. Obviously, you don't want anyone to get hurt.
Correct.
But at the same time, it is what it is. But Mahomes, I don't know if that was the wake up call he needed, realizing, hey, I'm down my, and it looked like Rashee Rice was, the best receiver in this on this offense. You usually expect to be Travis Kelce, but it hadn't been him until today, and so it looked like he was like, okay, I'm going to do what I do, and I'm going to find Kelce. I'm going to hit the deep bomb, the one play to Xavier Worthy, keep them on their toes, and Kareem Hunt, back with the Chiefs reunited, off the street last week, comes in, he looks impressive. So obviously they're missing Pacheco too, and when he comes back, they're going to be a better run team. But these next couple weeks, it's going to be on Mahomes, and I think this game kind of woke him up. The Chargers, they looked fine. It's really hard to judge them considering that Herbert's clearly playing hurt, but they're playing well. I mean, he's efficient. 180 yards. That's meh. But Lad McConkey, their rookie, he gets a couple nice catches. Herbert made one just impressive throw. When I was watching that game, I can't even believe that he scored the touchdown to McConkey. It was such an amazing pass. So they're gonna be fine. The rushing game though, that's how John or Jim built this team, is to be a rushing team, to be physical at the line of scrimmage and dominate. And it shows that they need to work on that a little bit more. You're only having 50 yards rushing in that game when Herbert's not at his best. It's not going to be good when the Chargers can't get their rushing game going, as evidenced by their 10 points. But Chiefs, defense looks great. Mahomes looks like he finally woke up and he's going to get going. So, I'm not going to predict an undefeated season, but the Chiefs, they're going to be hard to beat this year, and I am predicting a three-peat. That I will say, put it on the record. Three-peat, Mahomes does it. He becomes the official GOAT. Not just in my minds, but not just in my eyes, but in many eyes.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be hard to argue against that, but we'll see. I mean, we'll see if the Chiefs have it. Mahomes has it. We know that for sure. We don't know if the rest of the Chiefs have it. I have nothing much to add for the Chargers. They're 2-2. These look okay. Like I said, this was okay. Even though this is your team, this was just an okay game. 17-10 is not really much.
It was. Once again, the early part of the season looks like the Chiefs are being carried by their defense, but that's not a problem. I mean,
a win's a win.
If there's one team who it's like, hey, we have a great defense, we're running the ball pretty well. It's just our quarterback isn't great, or isn't playing up to a high standard. And it's like, oh, who's the quarterback? Mahomes? Oh, I'm not worried about that then either. So they're gonna figure it out. They always do. They every season they have a stretch where they don't look as great as they should. But I mean, look at them. They're the Chiefs. They're the best team in the league, and they're gonna continue to be the best team in the league until something happens to Mahomes. Which, knock on wood, pray to God, never happens.
Correct. Let's head to the Browns versus, this is again your team, the Browns versus the Raiders. 16-20 loss. That's not really. I mean, kind of a surprise. I thought the Ravens might actually would have won. Uh, but yeah. What do you guys add to for this? I didn't really watch this game. I didn't have much to add, to be honest with you.
It was just it was a very average game. Sean Watson, he just he doesn't look good anymore, and I think they're not going to because they're paying Deshaun Watson so much money, all guaranteed. They can't, they already invested in him, but I think they need to just start Jameis Winston at this point. Let him take over the team, see if he can reinvigorate something, get some fire under them. This Browns defense is too good for them to be wasting. And Jerry Jeudy, he's okay. Amari Cooper, he's good. They still got a solid offensive line. It just feels like they're wasting a lot of the talent on this team. And the Raiders, they're an okay team, but like they have so much going on. They're trying to trade Devontae Adams because he's unhappy, and they know they're not going to be good. After last week, Antonio Pierce goes, "Oh, I'm not sure if Gardner Minshew is going to be starting, and we need to talk it over with the players." Like, come on! Like Gardner Minshew throws for 130 yards. They have a solid rushing attack, but the Browns, they're really wasting the potential of this defense, which is just one of the best defenses in the league, and they have all these playmakers all over it. They have Myles Garrett, top 3 defensive player. They have Denzel Ward, a top 3 defensive back. They have JOK, one of the better young running back or middle linebackers. They have Devin Bush, who's a young running or middle linebacker. They have Zadarius Smith, who's a good outside linebacker. So much talent on this defense, and it's being wasted because Deshaun Watson he's lost, and maybe he needs a massage to feel better, but he's not good anymore, and the Browns need to accept that they've lost their assets, and they need to just put him on the bench, let Jameis take over, and see where he goes. Because Jameis, no matter what you say, about his talent, he's got arm talent, he's got arm strength, and people like him. The people who play with him, they like him, and they will fight for him. So let him in there and just see how they play with him. See how this offense looks, because it doesn't look good the way it's currently constructed.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, they have to. They need to figure that situation out. Their quarterback, and just like they shouldn't be 1-3. They shouldn't. I mean, the Raiders are also just. I mean, the Raiders are also just a freaking mess, as you mentioned. Just they don't know who their QB is. Devontae Adams doesn't want to be there anymore. You just had the most weirdest. This is the most weirdest situation where no one wants to be there. Feels like, and everyone is just. It's just the most thrown around team ever. I have nothing much to add, but for a team that just got sent to Vegas, I don't know how many years ago, maybe 1 or 2 years ago. This is trash. This is a trash start for the Vegas Raiders, and like I said, they might as well stay to Oakland at this point because they ain't impressing anyone.
Yeah.
And that's no disrespect to Oakland. I'm just saying they should have been able to kept their team, because you surprise these new fans with this team, and it just seems like whatever. At least the Oakland Raiders would still, has history there. They would still support their own team, but the fans got screwed, and now the Las Vegas team got a screwed ass team. So karma, I guess. Let's talk about the Ravens versus Bills. A 35-10 win, which I was shocked because Bills coming in here were 3-0 and the Ravens were 1-2, and we're just like, man, this team looks like just dead out there. But Lamar Jackson with 2 touchdowns, passing, 1 rushing. Derrick Henry's a freaking beast. This is the team. This is what I expected from the Ravens. Lamar and Derrick Henry. I mean, they've been doing it all season, but they carried this win.
Yeah, this was the first time I think the Ravens truly embraced their identity. It seemed like they didn't know how to go. They're like, oh, Lamar Jackson's the MVP. Let's have him throw it, and it's like, let's not have him rush. And it's like, yeah, Lamar Jackson, he's a good passer, but that's not his strength. His strength is with his legs. And you have Derrick Henry, who, as we just saw, still has something left in the tank. 200 yards rushing, that's nothing to sneeze at. So, they really need to take advantage of Lamar and Derrick, and they did it. And you know how it worked out? They scored a bunch early, and they just pounced on the Bills. It was score, 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 and the Bills at that point they were so far behind they never had a true chance to come back. So this is what the Ravens do best at is run the ball, get the early lead, and then just don't let them back in. Just keep adding to that lead. They're in the Bills. It started off rough. Josh Allen didn't look amazing, didn't look bad, and they just they had to get away from their game. The Bills have looked best this season when it's Josh Allen spreading the ball around and then being able to run the ball 15, 20 times a game, and they had to abandon the run early because they fell behind so fast. And they had a lot of 3-and-outs, and then the Ravens, they got the ball with Lamar Jackson, with Derrick Henry. They're able to have these long, sustained drives that just take away any momentum you're able to build. I mean, you have a 5-minute drive to start it off, and then you have a 6-minute drive, and then you have another 5-minute drive. They're just salting away. It's just they keep extending these drives, taking away any momentum, and then Lamar, it's like you're never safe with him. You're 3rd and 3, and it's like, okay, he can throw the ball, he can run the ball, or they can hand it off to Derrick Henry, and he can power his way through. So this is what we expected of the Ravens. This is how they should have, started off their season. But I hope at least they found their identity, and then they can continue to build off this and just, be the Ravens of last year, and be put on. Show that the AFC has another contender. The Bills, I think they're still a contender. Every team has a bad game, and they just let this one get away from them. And I think Allen will respond next week accordingly.
Yeah, I mean, it's his first touchdown. Our game without a touchdown this season, and like I said, the Bills just got surprised. But hey, good for the Ravens. They I'm gonna be surprised they missed the playoffs. This is an important game for them to win, and I want them to be good. I like Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. They're crazy monsters with the rushes, so there's no excuse with them. We've got nothing else to add for this team, and let's go talk about the Monday games, which is let's start off with the Titans versus Dolphins. Both teams end up being 1-3. Dolphins still struggling, obviously, without Tua. Titans getting their first win under Mason Rudolph, who honestly didn't really play well. Tony Pollard basically saved the team. I have nothing. They won. I have nothing really super positive to say about the Titans. What do you think?
Watching that game, and the announcers were stressing it too. The important part was that Mason Rudolph, while he wasn't impressive, he just also wasn't reckless. Will Levis, first drive, throws an interception, and then the second drive, he dives for a first down, comes short, and hurts himself. It's like the man, he's just so reckless. He's so carefree with the ball. And the Titans, they have a great offensive line. As you see, they have 2 really good running backs in Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears. What they need from a quarterback is someone who's not going to make mistakes and then be able to pick up the 3rd and shorts. You can have Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears kind of salt away the game. And this seemed like truly, every time I was watching, it's like, oh, they're just gonna run, they're gonna run, and they just couldn't stop it. They have a solid offensive line with Skoronski and Latham on the left side. They're, like I said, 2 solid running backs. They got some wide receivers in D-Hop, Kelvin Ridley, Tyler Boyd, some guys who are big bodies. They're able to make these contested throws and fight for first down. So the Titans, if they had a better quarterback situation, they honestly had a team. They have a team that could be something. But yeah, no, Mason Rudolph, he's not going to change the fortunes of this team. Yeah, he's just not. They might win a few more games with him than they would with Will Levis, but maybe they go from a 2-win team to a 4-win team. So I'm not impressed with either team, and obviously the Dolphins. We've stressed this enough, but
yeah,
they just didn't have a plan coming into the season for Tua, and honestly, it makes while yes, I don't think Tua is the best quarterback in the league. This game and the other games just show how valuable he is to this team. Obviously Tyreek Hill is the best player on the team, but Tua, he gets something going. He's able to process the field quickly, and he's able to make these quick decisions. Tyreek Hill, Devon Achane, and Jalen Waddle, they look terrible without him, and they're not able to do anything. They're not able to run the ball. They're not able to throw the ball, and it's just you got to hope that Tua is able to recover and come back and stay healthy, so that way we can see the true potential of the Dolphins. But unfortunately, this season's pretty much lost because I don't believe Tua is coming back until at least week 8. And with the way the quarterbacks have been playing with the way they mismanaged this, Tyler Huntley actually is a quality backup. But guess what? They signed him this week. So, of course, he's not going to look great this week. And it's hard for quarterbacks to come into a new system and learn it really fast and execute it really well. So, I don't see them winning too many games before Tua comes back. Maybe they get one in there. But this team just looks awful without him. And apparently, I saw there's rumors that they're looking to trade Tyreek potentially now because the season's lost, and he's going to be making money, or he's coming up on an extension. So it's a lost season for a team that had high hopes because they didn't have a proper quarterback plan, which with someone like Tua seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah, it was crazy, 100%. It's just sad to see. It really is.
Yeah.
Okay, let's head to the last game of this week, week 4. Seahawks versus the Lions, and this was a good game. Both teams ended up being 3-1, with the Lions getting beating the Seahawks, and Seahawks taking their first loss. Kenneth Walker looked like an amazing man, three touchdowns, 80 yards. Geno Smith, 395 yards. He gets a lot of yards, man. He really does. But with one touchdown, one interception, and I'll still give it to him because he got almost 400 yards.
And obviously they ended up running the ball in those close situations, which you can't really fault him for that. He got him there, and they just let someone else finish the drive for him.
Geno is a beast. Really revival his career. Jared Goff looks amazing too. 300 yards, 2 touchdowns. He didn't miss a pass, he didn't miss a throw at all. Very, very.
And then he also caught a touchdown pass.
You're right. I meant to mention that. Amon-Ra, that was a great trick play. 3 touchdowns technically. And it's just it's just good for the Lions. I mean, bad for us Packers and Bears fans, but
yeah,
this has been one of the most crazy. This is a crazy NFC North. Lions look amazing, and it's just I don't have anything bad to say about each team because this was a 13-point difference, 2 touchdowns essentially. They both played their best. I feel like.
Yeah, and like sure the score shows it was a 13-point win, but it was a close game. This whole game, the Seahawks at the end while they're trying to catch up, they throw a pick, very last minute. So it looks further than it was. Give Geno's credit, give Mike McDonald some credit for the Seahawks, first-time head coach, and they look good. Geno's coming out, he's airing the ball. Kenneth Walker comes back from injury. They don't give him. They split the touches a little bit, and they resort to passing a lot, but they looked good. They looked solid. So, Geno Smith continuing to show that he's a starter in this league. No questions about it. But the real story here is the Detroit Lions. They look so good. It's scary. They control the game. They don't make it hard. If they want to run the ball, they have the most physical offensive line. They're able to just run the ball down your throat. Jared Goff, he's seen the game so clearly. 18 for 18. That's amazing. That's one of the best games. Being able to throw 100% completions. Almost 300 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's a great game. No matter how you look at it, he's spreading the ball around. Amon-Ra, he's making some great catches. They just have such a complete team. Honestly, at this point, if I'm the Lions, I would try to trade for Hassan Reddick. They should be all in right now. They have such a great team. Aiden Hutchinson is such a great pass rusher. If you were able to add Hassan Reddick, they would have 2 top 10 pass rushers. They would have the best run game. They would have the best offensive line. I mean, Aiden Hutchinson and Hassan Reddick, that might be the 2 best edge rushers. They got some solid safeties, some solid corners. They would they're already a scary team, but this is the Lions' chance. They need to go all in, and it's I'm just impressed with this team. I hate that they're in our division because I don't know I don't see them slowing down this year or anytime soon. They're just so well coached. They're so physical. They play so smart, and Jameer Gibbs and David Montgomery, former Bear, they look like you know probably the best running back tandem in the league, and a lot of it has to do with how well that the offense is coached and how well the offensive line is. But it's it's scary. They're a scary team, and I don't want to play them twice a year.
As a Packers fan, I agree. Um, okay, that's for week 4. Let's get to week 5, and we're gonna do the 60-second thing again. Uh, Jack has to give us his what he thinks about what's going to happen in this game and the end score for each game. So Jack, let's start with Cowboys versus Steelers.
Yeah. So my first thoughts are right away. This is the Cowboys' chance to really come out and show that we can beat some solid teams like we were talking about earlier. They're gonna have to throw it, and this is pretty much great offense versus great defense. We'll see if Justin Fields can build on that. Um, I do think the Steelers are going to win this game, though. I'm worried about the Cowboys. Don't really love the way that they're heading, and I think the Steelers are going to end up winning this game. I think their defense is going to trump their offense, and Justin Fields is going to build. Like I said, I'm guessing it's going to be 28-14. I think it's going to be a very solid win for the Steelers.
Okay, you heard that, 14-28. All right, next Bills versus Texans. Go.
These are, two of the top teams in the AFC, not named the Chiefs. You got Josh Allen versus CJ Stroud. Once again, two of the top quarterbacks, not named Patrick Mahomes. I think the Bills, they're going to be looking to bounce back after last week, and I think they're going to try to come out strong and hot. And the Texans, they just look so impressive. It's hard for me to really make a choice in this game. It's going to be a close game. Hopefully, it should be a fun game to watch. I'm going to go with the Bills. I think it's going to be 31-27. It's going to be a really close game. I think the Bills are going to kind of win it in the last moment. It's going to be whoever has the ball last. But the Bills, after such an embarrassing loss, I don't think they're going to stay quiet. I think they're going to come out and they're going to look impressive.
Yeah. Okay. Next game I have on this list: Vikings versus Jets. Go.
Aaron Rodgers coming back to the NFC North to face the Vikings, a team that he's beaten a ton of times, but Vikings. This is going to be another test for them. Jets supposedly have a top 10 defense. Aaron Rodgers, regardless of how he looks week in and week out, he's Aaron Rodgers. But I think the Vikings are going to win this. I think they're going to continue to roll and show. Like I said earlier, they're a team to really be reckoned with. I think Aaron Rodgers, unfortunately, he's very inconsistent this year, so I think it's going to be a pretty strong showing for the Jets. I'm going to go 24-13.
Okay. I hope that's not the results. Let's go do Bears versus Panthers.
As a Bears fan, I'm going to talk positives here, and I'm going to manifest that. Bears, they should be able to win this game. The Panthers, like we said, they show that their offense has some life. But the Bears' defense has been great, so I don't think Andy Dalton, former Bear by the way, is going to come in and really do much against this defense. And I'm really hoping Caleb can, build off of last week. And he's been building every week. He's been getting slightly better. So I'm hoping against a really bad team that he can, put together a very solid performance. I'm hoping and praying for a score of 28 to. I'm going to say 28-15. I think the Bears are going to look impressive from beginning to end.
Okay, and then last but least, Ravens versus Bengals.
AFC North showdown. These are the two teams that were favored to win the division coming into it. Both teams started off slow, but now it looks like they're getting into their rhythms. Because of the way that the Ravens looked last week, if they can, realize Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson running the ball, that's the way we're going to win these games. The defense for the Bengals has been so bad. I think the Ravens really should win this game and then really cement themselves as the team in the AFC North. And if they win this game, I think they kind of knock the Bengals out of playoff contention and out of their division competition. So the Ravens, if they can realize the importance of this game, realize their identity, they should win this game. And I think they're going to. So I think it's going to be a close game. I'm going to go 28-21. Ravens win.
All right. So that was for our preview. Thank you guys for watching us. Please subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Twitch. We are the Super Debate Bros, and we're going to be posting weekly, and we'll see you guys soon.
Take care, everyone.